perhaps the most terrifying testimony so far. As you told me,
Did you hear what he said in there? They'll kill us. Sacrifices in a church.
Take it easy, Christine.
Glenn, has Ruben been telling Ryder the problems we're having?
I don't know.
Well, she told me she would. I mean, if she doesn't, I will.
Told a rabbit courthouse how he was forced to drink the blood of a slaughtered rabbit.
what did you think of Brian's testimony? Do you think there was actually Satanism practiced at the McMartin school?
Can you believe this shit?
I
think sacrifices, group sex, people walking around in robes. I mean, next they're going to have some kid telling about the guy they nailed to a cross, or the virgin they sacrificed on the altar. This is getting scary. It's out of control.
Don't you think? Talking about this.
Huh? I mean, don't you think so? I do. I think this is out of control.
I believe we may be dealing with a nationwide conspiracy of child predators who are operating daycare centers as a cover for child abuse.
Satanism, devil worship, is being practiced all across the country.
We have all types of perversion.
Is cannibalism part of the ritual?
The children have spoken about this in almost every instance.
We're made to chew pieces of these children's arms, pieces of their flesh.
When parents begin to realize these things are really happening and not just something out of the dark ages, it'll be much more difficult for these people to pull these things off.
When we hear of ritual sacrifices, our reaction is one of horrific avoidance. We say things like, this only happened in the Middle Ages. It doesn't mean that children are not telling the truth.
So where is your storage room?
I'll show you.
Oh. This is it? But you can see the whole room from the store.
Michael Shear is over there. He can see everything from the cafe.
And it's always been this way?
Always.
Is there any way what he said could have happened?
Well, our doors are always locked. We had a robbery in the office one night, and the police told us that they wouldn't give us any surveillance unless we kept the doors locked.
Could someone have broken in?
No. Not the treasurer, the secretary, or the accountant hearing it from the chapel.
Virginia, can we get some reaction?
Could you hold the door, please?
Hold it! Virginia!
Are you sure you can ride in the same elevator as Mr. Sachs? You might pull out a rabbit and drink its blood. I took off our clothes and danced around naked.
Yes, Bucky. I don't make the news. I just report it. How do you expect anybody to know your side if you won't tell them what you're feeling and that you're innocent?
You wouldn't be interested in you knowing. All you want is free Bucky. They're animals.
Sorry, no comment.
Virginia McMartin slashed kids in a wheelchair. Peggy and Bucky made a 3-year-old child copulator. You couldn't care less about the truth.
But no more questions. What were you thinking? Don't you ever do that. Don't ever do that again, honey.
I'm not. This whole thing's a farce. Nothing happened at the school. You know it, and he knows it. Somebody has to be the voice of sanity.
I like your witnesses. One of them recants, saying he was making it all up so you wouldn't be sad. The other says he went to St. Cross Church and a rabbit was killed on the altar and he had to drink its blood. What are you trying to do, win your case or audition for Saturday Night Live? Where the hell did you use them?
I'll answer that for Glenn, because they're the best witnesses we have.
What about the tapes?
You have to see them to believe them.
What does that mean?
The kids don't have to say anything. Key McFarland and Sandy Krebs tell them everything. If they say they weren't molested, they say, well, everybody else said you were, so you must be wrong. And if they say they were molested, say, boy, you're really amazing.
Well, what did you expect? The kids were just going to come out and say, hey, I was raped and sodomized? Especially after they were threatened with harm to their parents?
Let me ask a silly question. Why am I hearing this for the first time? Didn't anybody look at the evidence a long time ago?
Yes, of course we did, but when we filed the charges, there wasn't time. There was just too much of it. We had to rely on McFarland's logs.
Well, aren't they reliable?
No, they're not.
What exactly do we have going for us?
We have a confession.
Freeman, the guy who was in the cell with Bucky. Do you believe him?
I don't bring forward witnesses I don't believe in.
I don't like snitches, neither do juries.
Well, they might not like them, but they're impressed by them, even if it's only on a subliminal basis.
What about the medical evidence that they were abused?
We can't get any doctor who is independent of CII to corroborate it. No one of stature. They say it's inconclusive.
I want a recommendation. Stevens?
Well, there are problems with the case, but there are other considerations, too, like the media.
Please leave them out of it.
I'm developing a reasonable doubt on 6. I say drop the charges against the women.
Are you serious? They molested children.
What about Bucky? Can we get a conviction?
Maybe.
Maybe?
He wasn't even at the school when 4 of the children are saying he molested them.
And the kids' stories are changing.
They said that they were taken by the teachers to car washes, to mortuaries, to cemeteries, flown in an airplane to Palm Springs. Not one piece of corroboration. Not one person saw them.
All right, look, this office can do what it wants. As far as I'm concerned, I don't intend to drop any of the charges against any of the defendants. I think we have a clear duty here.
But we're not even sure about Bucky.
Look, here is a guy who abuses drugs, who flunked out of almost every school he ever attended, who sits in this preschool day after day with his genitals exposed to these children. And there's something even more significant.
What?
Let me have a picture, Glenn. This is a picture of Bucky at a pyramid convention. You see this woman here? She told investigators she took him to a motel. The woman even paid the tab, and Bucky couldn't get it up.
What does that have to do with molesting children?
Put it together with the rest of the evidence, Christine. Obviously, this is a man for whom normal sex is not possible. He had to gratify himself some way. Don't you think this begins to add up?
Maybe. But that doesn't explain his mother, his sister, his grandmother.
The old woman in the dark glasses? Look, Glenn, you don't think that women are capable of the same desires and the same aberrations as men?
Philibosian. 208 counts. Do you think he overfired? Could be the election had something to do with it, do you think?
All right. Look, just because we're having some trouble with some evidence, that doesn't make these people suddenly innocent. Children don't lie about this kind of thing. There is a smoking gun out there. I know it. We've just got to find it. Somebody is going to get drunk and confide in someone. Somebody is going to attempt suicide and leave a note. Somebody is going to find those pornographic pictures. That's all we need. One picture. One.
I'd like to say something.
What is this about, Mrs. McMartin? Please be seated.
You told my lawyer that the county will no longer agree to pay him his fee. I have no more money. They took my school. I have nothing left.
Mr. Bruner knew what he was getting into when he took this case, and he's been paid a large sum of money. He will continue on to the end of the hearing.
I've never accepted charity before, and I don't intend to now.
Then I'll get you another attorney.
I won't talk to him.
Mrs. McMartin, do you have any knowledge of the law?
I have something more important. I know the children. I've had them all sit on my lap.
Well,
I think all of you better take a course in
continue on
children.
as your counsel as to not interfere with the end of this
I will
hearing.
get up and walk out of this courtroom
Mrs.
if you
McMartin,
insist
you
on
will
it.
remain in the courtroom.
You'll have to stay, ma'am.
Are you going to use force?
Why don't you have a seat?
I will not have a seat. If you wish to use force, do it. You're a little bigger than I am.
You are ordered to sit down or you will be cited for contempt.
Please, Your Honor.
Put me in jail.
Your Honor.
I've been in your jail. I know what terrible places they are.
Mom, you want to go to jail? You wouldn't be able to stand it, and you know it. You do not want to go to
Mrs.
jail.
McMartin.
Please, Your Honor. I know how you feel, but this is not the way. Don't make things worse for your family, please.
Ma'am?
Yeah. Well, who is this? Judy? What happened? What? Is Malcolm okay?
He's all right for now, but the dog's behind his rib, too. And it's missing hair there, too.
Judy, are you trying to tell me that someone molested your dog?
Yes. I think it was the Marine. He's been following me. He's going to
Judy, what the hell are you talking about?
Did you ever read the note she wrote describing what happened? Malcolm was hurt by a lion. There was a baby. The head was chopped open and the brains were burned. Malcolm had to drink the baby's blood. Did the defense get this note?
I assume Ruben sent it over?
Then we're off the hook, because I sure as hell don't have time to butt heads with her.
At the cemetery, you were forced to dig up the bodies of dead people.
Yes.
And did the teachers give the kids shovels to dig up the bodies?
Yes.
Permission to approach, Your Honor. Now, these are pictures of some men with numbers under them, right?
Yes.
Look at these very carefully, Aaron, and if you see any of the men who went with you to the cemetery, draw a circle around the pictures with the red pencil. Okay. Your Honor, I would like to indicate for the record that Aaron has identified City Attorney James Hahn and actor Chuck Norris. Thank you.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
Joining us now live in our Los Angeles bureau is Daniel Davis, who is defense attorney for Raymond Buckey, one of the defendants in the McMartin case. Mr. Davis, I understand that your first responsibility is to your client and to come up with the best defense you possibly can for him, but it doesn't sound as though you're taking any prisoners among your 6- and 7-year-old witnesses.
My client is in jail at this moment without bail because of the statements of these children. That's good.
Is it
Good,
necessary to be quite that tough with them?
Mr. Buckey is being held, an innocent man without bail. based on
Doesn't this
alleged
frighten
threat.
you?
What? So it is really
Well, you're getting to be
part
as
of
much
his freedom
despised
to
as the
pursue
McMartins.
those issues.
Maybe even more.
It is a Thanks job for sharing. indeed that I'm having trouble That doing. frightens me. This case is a nightmare. They got the train on the tracks, it's rolling, it's winning them votes and sound bites, but nobody's willing to put on the brakes. Of course it frightens me.
Big train, fast track, I mean, what? Make it sound like it's so exciting.
Good.
But it's not. It's taking you nowhere.
Why are
It's
you
not.
doing this?
Look, look, just get out of this case. It's going to cost you your career.
Are you kidding? This case is why guys go to law school. This case is about justice.
Oh, come on.
Give me a break, Danny. This case is just as scummy as all the others, even scummier. And you know what? If you do win this case, you're just going to encourage child abusers to think that they can get away with it.
You know what? You're just like all the rest. You are so wrong, it's pathetic. You know, you just say the word kids and everybody rushes to judgment. Hang them, fry them, just string them up by their fingernails. How come everybody in America knows these people are guilty? What about the facts? What about the fucking facts?
If you're so sure you're right, then why are you yelling?
Because I didn't grow up with the advantages you grew up with, okay? I grew up in a slum where everybody called a spade a goddamn shovel. I'm not a club type of lawyer. I'm just a hack. Yeah, and maybe I'm part of what's fucking up the system because the system is fucked up and everybody should know about it. You know what's basically at stake here? It's called the rule of law, and I happen to like it.
Judy?
Get off my land. This is sacred property.
Judy? It's me, Steve. What are you doing with that thing?
Don't you touch my children. Don't you touch my babies. I'll kill you. I'm Jesus Johnson.
She pulled out a 12-gauge shotgun on her brother because she thought he was coming to kill her babies. All she talks about is how the neighbors are trying to sexually molest her kids.
What is it?
Acute paranoid schizophrenia. And the drinking doesn't help.
What do you mean, the drinking?
An alcoholic for years. Didn't you know that?
We'll recess for a late lunch. Court will resume at 2:30.
Let's go. Come on. Time to go. Come on. Let's go. All right, easy. Come on.
Okay. Come on.
See you later.
See you
Come on.
tomorrow, dear. I'll be here, sweetheart. I'll be here.
Come on.
Don't forget to take your medicine.
Come on, let's go.
Don't push me so fast.
Come on,
Please
let's
don't
go.
go so fast. Oh! Peggy! Peggy! Oh, what are they doing?
We're not doing anything to her. No, she's all right. She just tripped. I saw it. She's okay.
I don't trust you. I don't trust any of you. All I've heard are lies. Lies from the first day in this courtroom.
Calm down. She's fine.
What's happened to my daughter?
She just stumbled.
Hey, Faye.
Hey,
Can I buy you lunch?
sure. We were just going to that Greek place. They have pea soup today.
Okay. I can speak to you guys off the record, right?
Whammo. It's got to be Glenn Stevens. He's the only one in that office with enough guts. This is unbelievable.
Whoa. Are you really naive enough to think that a reporter would keep it off the record that the DA's office doubts its own case, Glenn? And you did it anonymously? Half the people will think I did it. This thing's gonna follow my career forever. How could you do it, Glenn? Why?
Because I think they're innocent. Don't you? Come on, Christine. Didn't it get to you? What about what's right?
Wait a minute. Where does this sanctimonious tone come from, my friend? You don't know they're innocent. You are a public prosecutor. Your job is to see that justice gets served. For you to go behind everybody's back like this is unethical and cowardly, period. If it's any satisfaction to you, I think you have sabotaged this case beyond repair.
Well, if it's any satisfaction to you, I've sabotaged my career beyond repair in order to do it. You'll have my resignation on your desk in the morning.
I have been in conference with my staff. We've all come to the same conclusion. The evidence against 5 in this case is so incredibly weak, it does not go beyond mere accusation. We are dropping charges against 5 of the defendants in the McMartin case. Yes. On the other hand, we have clear and convincing evidence that Ray Bucky molested children. There is equally clear and equally convincing evidence that his mother, Peggy Bucky, was also involved.
Thank you. Well, he let 5 go. That's something. You got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, for what? Trying to have it both ways? He knows he can't get a conviction with all 7, but he can't let them go. He knows that Ray and Peggy have been kept in jail all this time without bail, and on his watch. He's just looking for scapegoats to cover his ass.
There is furious reaction tonight against the prosecution's latest move in the case that helped center national attention on the problem.
I'd like Ira Reiner to go to the 300 victims and explain why these people who have hurt them are allowed to go free.
Look, I would never get involved in any vigilante activity, but I wouldn't want to be one of these defendants walking the streets.
Where's being sense these days? Now that some of the shoes are on the other foot.
Jobs in our preschools, then molest our kids.
That's a good question, you know.
Man.
Hello? Just a minute, please. Honey? It's for you, long distance.
Who is it?
Who's calling? It's Chris Woodyard of the Examiner.
Hello? What did you answer the phone for?
Anybody there?
Chris.
Wayne?
Hi.
what's up?
Been getting a little help from Deep Throat, Wayne? What are you talking about?
The puppet lady? How long have you been living with her?
What? Conflict of interest? Fucking the source of the story. How long you been doing it?
No wonder you've gotten so many exclusives, eh?
I'm proud of my work on this case. I won a Peabody and 2 Golden Mike Awards for it, so just maybe jealousy might be a motive here.
You're a piece of shit, Wayne.
You're the reason people hate the press. We are gonna nail your ass so bad that you try it. But you be careful what you put on the air. I'm not only a reporter, I'm a lawyer too, and there are laws about these things. You can't just say anything you like on TV, you know?
I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think it'll be fair. Just tell it like it is. Tell the truth. Everything will be okay.
I don't know why I agreed to do this.
You look nice. Pretty, doesn't she? You look really nice. Oh, yeah. Come on. You look good.
This is 60 Minutes.
Well, during the time that I was in jail, the custody of my children was taken away from me. They were taken from the school that we placed them in. They were arrested. I don't know for what. At that time, my son was 8.
Along with everyone else, I lost every material possession I ever had. I lost all my teaching credentials, which I'd gone 6 years of college to get.
In this country, if you're accused, you're guilty. God help you if you try to prove you're innocent.
Fucking ain't right.
That's the way we've been treated from the first day.
You know who should be made to watch this? Ira Reiner. Ira Reiner should be made to watch this. You gonna get him on camera?
Virginia McMartin, Betty Rader, Mary Ann Jackson, Peggy Ann Bucky. Their homes, their money, their honor, everything gone. Deserved?
No, of course not.
So who do these people go to get their money back and their life back? The county? Your predecessor? Children's Institute International?
That's not the sort of question I should be getting into.
Do you think you can get him to grant bail for Peggy?
God, I hope so. She's 62 years old. They've kept her for 18 months without a trial.
It's unbelievable.
The trial itself will take another 1.5 years. And you can't let this happen. It'll be a scandal.
That's all?
This is it?
Leave it here. Let's see what I can do.
You always used to love to come here.
Lisa, I want to go home.
No, Mom. Not back to that little apartment. Not yet.
Please. You haven't been outdoors once since you got out. Please.
I promise there's nothing here to hurt you. Okay? Come on. We'll just take a little walk, okay? There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just us. I know. No, there's nothing to be afraid of, but I am afraid. I'm so afraid. I'm afraid they'll come in the middle of the night again and arrest me. I know I've done nothing wrong. But why is this happening then? It's like God is punishing me for something. All I've ever known is teaching children, and I can never do that again. Everything is lost. And your youth, you never smile anymore like you used to. And Ray is still in there. I mean, how can he endure it? He will endure it. You did. We all will. Come on.
Danny! Danny! Danny, wait! look, I got something. Look, I gotta see this.
I think it was Pemberton
Danny, look at
versus
this. Danny, look at this.
Superior Court,
Yeah,
1962.
I mean, right now, look, it came my way last night.
Where'd you get this, Stevens? Holy shit.
Mr. Davis, can I help you?
No.
Sir?
The Judy Johnson discovery. Would we have a trial if I had this to present in court? I don't think so. I don't fucking think so.
You don't swear.
Judy Johnson, you knew she was nuts. She's the main accuser in your case, and you knew she was a fucking banana.
Do not shout at me. Who the hell do you think you are?
Why didn't I get this before?
Who do you think you're talking to here, Mr. Davis? Are you expecting me to be personally responsible for every piece of evidence that comes down the pipe?
I am.
It was not my job to get it to you.
It is your job.
You received a summary. You could have followed up.
Bullshit.
Why don't you take care of your side of the case?
Bullshit. Your back's against the wall and you know it. Why didn't you file charges against Judy Johnson's husband? She accused him of molesting Malcolm, the same woman who accused my clients. You don't see a problem that I didn't get to see this?
Yes, I see a problem.
Thank you.
It's not my problem.
It is your problem.
I don't know why you didn't get it. As for Judy Johnson, she only accused her husband after she became unstable. She became unstable after what happened to her son, after damages inflicted on him by your client.
Where did you come from? Did you read this thing? Did you? You didn't press charges against Judy Johnson's husband because you didn't want it to mess up your nice, neat witch hunt against my clients. Fine. You know what I'm going to do about this? I'm going to the judge. I'm going to ask him to recuse you and the entire district attorney's office for prosecutorial misconduct.
I have seldom seen anything as explosive as this handwritten letter from Judy Johnson that was allegedly not passed on to the defense. The prosecution maintains that they only sent over a typewritten summary of this evidence earlier because they were overwhelmed by the sheer volume of the material. I accept this explanation and am therefore going to dismiss the charges of prosecutorial misconduct. However, the court does grant the defense's request to examine Mrs. Johnson. Clearly, she is a crucial witness.
Roger, we're at location. Over.
Every day, she heard herself being ridiculed and ripped apart by Mr. Davis on the news. I would hope the defense attorneys are now beginning to regret their comments.
There's nothing beneath the prosecution, is there? The body's not even cold yet.
How do you think she felt reading every day in the newspapers that this case was spawned by a mad woman?
It is commendable of the prosecution to have such compassion for Mrs. Johnson now that she's dead.
But did he know?
They knew from the beginning that she was mentally ill, but they did not suggest she be helped because they were afraid the defense might find out about it.
To the defense, this woman has suffered more in a few weeks than most of us suffer in a lifetime. Not as much as and I tell you there, but for the grace of God go you and I. How did you know this?
Police investigators say they believe Judy Johnson's death was a result of an accidental alcohol overdose. Mrs. Johnson was a key figure in the McMartin case, and it was her allegations that led to the first charges being filed against Raymond Bucky.
Ta-da! I know you like to think of yourself as an athlete, so let's see how many miles you can ride on this thing every day.
Judy Johnson's dead.
I know, Ray. And it's too bad, but we don't need her. Thanks, boys.
We don't need her. She was the whole case.
Thanks, Al.
Now she's dead. I can't take this anymore, Danny.
You're gonna have to.
Every night, I lie in my bed in that tiny little cell, and my mind whirls around and around. Why shouldn't I just put a plastic bag over my head or slit my wrist or have someone else jam a shank through my ear? What am I hanging around for? Listen to these kids rip the skin off me? Watch my family get humiliated? Watch them lose everything they had? They hate me, Danny. I'm like Freddy Krueger to these people. I'm Charles Manson. I mean, they use my name to scare their little kids before they go to sleep.
You're right. I'll never lie to you, Ray. They do hate you. But we're gonna make them hate someone else. We're gonna make the jury hate someone else.
What are you talking about?
Lyle Rubin. What do you think your case is gonna be, Ray? I'll tell you. She's gonna make a big deal out of the fact that you had a picture from a skin magazine as proof that you molest children. She's gonna show that you're a bad guy because sometimes you forget to wear your BVDs. She's gonna make the fact that you aren't chasing everything in a skirt proof that you are chasing 5-year-olds. What do you think's gonna happen when she shows up in court with this flimsy rag of a case? Everyone is going to see the emperor's new clothes. They're going to see through the innuendos and the bullshit in the stories. And they're going to see that if somebody's on trial for screwing people, maybe it shouldn't be Ray Bucky. Okay? Now, son, I want you to get your ass in this bike and see how many miles you can clock. Or you can let Lyle Rubin and Key McFarland just dance all over your grave. Ta-da. Come on, son.
Today, nearly 4 years after the first arrest in the McMartin preschool molestation case, defendants Raymond Bucky and his mother, Peggy McMartin Bucky, will finally go on trial before a jury of 8 men and 4 women.
Mr. Freeman, did Raymond Bucky confess to you that he had sex with children?
He said he sexually assaulted children.
Will you tell us the words he used?
You want me to?
Yes.
Well, he said he fucked a 2-year-old boy in the butt.
Did the defendant say what he used when he fucked this 2-year-old boy, to use his words?
Said he usually used baby oil and KY jelly.
Mm-hmm. Did the defendant say that anything happened when he used the KY or the baby oil?
Yeah. Said if he didn't use baby oil, the boy bled.
Now, Mr. Davis, it seems we have a bit of a problem.
What is that, Your Honor?
I wanted us to meet because I think Mr. Freeman should have an attorney. He told me that he committed perjury in other cases.
When did he tell you this?
3 weeks ago.
But you're telling me that you knew before Freeman got on the stand that he'd perjured himself, and you let him testify without informing the court?
To be honest with you, I hadn't considered the fact that he might need an attorney until now.
You know, we face giving him immunity or calling a mistrial.
Call a mistrial. You can't let this happen.
Do you know how much the state has spent on this case so far?
I don't give a damn how much it costs. It's a mistrial. This is outrageous.
You may not give a damn, but I do, and the people of Los Angeles do.
Your Honor,
It is my view that Mr. Freeman must testify. And the only way to do that is through immunity.
Miss Rubin planned this all along.
Mr. Davis, my ruling will stand.
So when Freeman came to you with his problem, what did you say? Don't worry, George. Get your garbage in. I'll protect you.
I said nothing of the kind. And let's not go public with this, please.
The district attorney's office and the judge are saying to George Freeman, go ahead, lie, perjure yourself. You won't be prosecuted, but there's one thing they cannot grant him immunity on, and that is murder.
Murder? George Freeman committed a murder?
Oh, why wasn't he indicted?
Why not?
Why do you think he wasn't indicted?
Are you suggesting a deal was made not to indict Freeman if he agreed to testify against Ray Bucky?
I'm not suggesting anything. You draw your own conclusions. But George Freeman is the prosecution's super-duper Whopper Jumbo Cheeseburger Deluxe with extra special sauce. Now, either you swallow it, or you have a delicate stomach and it smells bad, you don't go near it. Doesn't make any difference, because before this is over, I am going to convict George Freeman of that murder. Thank you. No more questions.
What exactly was... You don't have anything on this murder, do you?
Not a thing. You kidding?
The star witness in the McMartin molestation trial, George Freeman, was arrested this morning when he failed to show up in court. Sheriff's deputies tracked Freeman down here to his sister's house in the San Fernando Valley, where he had gone into hiding. They found him squatting behind a number of boxes in the garage. He surrendered to the deputies without incident and is expected to appear in court tomorrow morning.
You're upset with me, aren't you?
You know I am.
Did it disturb you, what I said about getting you convicted of murder?
I don't care.
Mr. Freeman, have you ever been convicted of what might be called willful cruelty to children?
Yeah.
Isn't it true that you once tied up your mother and sister, burglarized other parts of the house, and left them tied up?
Only God would know, right?
Right. Mr. Freeman, do you have any credibility in your own opinion?
No.
Well, that's all. Thank you. Did you appear on a program in which Wayne Satz announced that 60 children were making allegations against Raymond Bucky before the case had even gone before the grand jury?
I believe I did.
Didn't it concern you that you might be compromising the investigation of the case?
Yes, it did, and I was very upset by it, and I told Mr. Satz so.
You were so upset about it that you moved in with him, is that right?
Objection, Your Honor. Miss McFarland's intimate relations are not an issue in this trial.
Sustained.
Do you think you are qualified to judge whether a child has been molested or not?
Objection. Miss McFarlane is not on trial here, even if Mr. Davis would like to put her on trial.
What is Miss Rubin afraid of? Miss McFarlane was touted by the DA's office as their expert witness, going around the country giving speeches. What's happened all of a sudden? Are you afraid she won't pass muster?
Objection overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Answer the question, please. Do you think you're qualified?
Since I've spent the majority of my professional life devoted to the subject, I think so, yes.
What is your educational background as far as diagnosing children?
I have a master's degree in social work from the University of Maryland.
Did the curriculum include any study in child abuse?
Yes.
Oh. What portion dealt with that?
Well, it's a liberal arts program with psychology, sociology, and those basic courses cover children.
Well, have you ever treated children in the psychiatric sense?
I don't understand what you mean.
You know what psychiatric is. Have you ever heard of that, psychiatric?
Objection. Would you instruct Mr. Davis to stop harassing the witness?
I think if this witness doesn't know what psychiatric means and she has presented herself as an expert, then the court ought to know about that, don't you think?
Objection overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Answer the question, please. Have you ever treated children in a psychiatric sense?
No.
How have you treated them?
I've treated them as a social worker.
You worked in Maryland and New Jersey and California, is that right?
Yes.
Were you licensed in New Jersey or Maryland?
Not licensed.
Are you licensed in California?
No.
You are not licensed to work as a therapist or a social worker in any state, are you?
That's correct.
Thank you. Where did you learn these techniques that you use with these children?
From working with families and attending virtually every conference on child abuse in the country. I don't know of any library that's more extensive than my own on the subject.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor, and I would like to mark into evidence defense exhibits
KKLL.
KKLL. Your Honor. Thank you. You use dolls like these?
Yes.
Why?
To familiarize the children with their body parts so they're able to talk about it. It's very difficult for them to say the words. Some of them aren't even able to articulate what's happened to them.
How do you know anything happened to them?
I made a determination.
Some of them were in your office only a few minutes before you undressed these dolls. How could you tell?
By the way they were acting, by their not wanting to talk about it.
Did it ever occur to you that they didn't want to talk about it because nothing happened?
Something happened to them, Mr. Davis.
You used different dolls to represent the teachers, did you not?
Yes.
Did you choose black dolls to represent Raymond Bucky, Miss McFarlane?
The children picked the dolls.
Your Honor, I would like to present into evidence sections of the videotape made by Miss McFarlane of the children. Thank you. Thank you.
And the little boys have, guess what, down here? A real-looking penis. Now, which doll do you think would be good for Ray? I don't know. Okay, how about this one? Okay. What I like is her hair, even though it doesn't really look like real hair, does it? Fuzzy. Look! He's got a little hair on his great big ugly penis.
Were you trying to teach these children a little bit of racism?
I don't associate the use of dolls of different color with racism.
You weren't trying to make them think that Ray Bucky was a bad man, were you?
I don't perceive a black doll as inherently having a negative characteristic.
How about when you remove the doll's pants and add, oh, he has hair on his great, big, ugly penis?
I commented about all the dolls. I was trying to let them know I was the kind of person they could say anything to.
And who is this? Miss Peggy. Miss Peggy. Now, doesn't she have funny-looking boobies? Look at these little heart things that stick out. Have you ever seen boobies with these lines in them? Some of the kids at school told me that her real name is Miss Peggy, because she was kind of fat. Is that true?
Why do you call her Miss Piggy instead of Miss Peggy? What do you mean when you talk about her boobs with lines?
I don't think you understand how frightened these children were. It's an attempt to jog their memories, sort out which teacher was which.
All right, Mr. Monkey, are you going to be stupid or are you going to be smart and help us out here? Now, some people think you're stupid, Mr. Monkey. Well, I'll be smart. You will? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mr. Monkey's the chicken. He can't remember any of the naked games, but we think we know a game that Mr. Monkey remembers. It's the naked movie star game. Do you remember that game? Or is your memory too bad?
You told Sam that he was stupid, and that he was a chicken, and that his memory was too bad. Is that right?
I was talking to the puppet.
You don't think little Sam thought you were calling him dumb?
If I believed that, Mr. Davis, I wouldn't have said it.
Now, what the other kids did is they took this doll, Ray, and they started that. You want to punch him like the other kids did? Go ahead. That's it. Good for you. Good for you. You want to punch him? Go ahead.
Why did you encourage her to beat the doll that was supposed to represent Ray? Don't you think this kind of thing leads the children to believe that he was a bad man?
Not at all. It was therapy. It's best that they let their anger out rather than keeping it bottled up inside of themselves for years. It can become a time bomb if it's repressed.
Sandra Krebs, your assistant, you taught her your technique, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And she was initially employed as your video camera operator, was she not?
You seem to give a great priority to formal education, Mr. Davis.
Miss McFarland, this was, in your words, one of the biggest molestation cases in the history of the world. Why didn't you hire the most experienced person you could get?
Because some of them wouldn't have had the courage to do what had to be done.
What courage was that?
Simply to find out the truth.
Remember all the times your mom asked you if anything happened?
159 times.
I know what we'll do. We tried this with another little girl. Here's Big Bird. Now, what this little girl did was she squeaked once for no and twice for yes. Can you do that? Once for no and twice for yes. When Jennifer was touched at the school, was it a hand that touched her? No.
No.
Did Ray sometimes do yucky things to some of the kids?
No.
Sometimes people we like can touch kids in places that are uncomfortable and scary. Did you know that Ray did that to some of the kids? No. No. You don't want to hear any more no's.
No, 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 no.
You told this child's parents that she was molested, did you not?
We said she was in denial.
Did the parents see all of the tapes?
I beg your pardon?
Did they see all of the tapes, Miss McFarland?
No, we were interviewing 400 children, and more were calling all the time.
So all you had to do was press fast forward on the VCR, and you had at your fingertips each child saying whether or not he or she had been molested. Is that correct?
You give me too much credit, Mr. Davis. The very idea that after an hour or two with me, a child would say he was molested even if he wasn't makes me out to be some sort of genius.
Children between 3 and 6 can be very easily tricked. They're at this developmental stage of magical thinking. It is very easy to intimidate them. You did make that statement, didn't you, Miss McFarland?
I knew what would happen when I put myself on the line with these tapes. I knew people like you would pick apart every word, every inflection, but somebody had to do it, Mr. Davis, so the children could tell the truth.
The truth. Was what you got the truth?
What are you trying to suggest? I would deliberately plant false ideas in their heads? Is that why you think I entered into all of this?
No, I think that you entered into all of this for a very noble reason. To help children that you honestly thought had been traumatized, and maybe spare them going through another trauma in this very courtroom. But I also believe that you must have known what a dangerous technique this was. Highly suggestive. A technique that was meant to be used where abuse was already an established fact. And yet, in this case, there was no such evidence that abuse had occurred. And you went ahead and used this technique anyway. And this technique became the evidence.
That's ridiculous. Of course there was abuse. The children told me, I heard them, and you and the entire justice system are trying to stop them from telling the truth.
Well, I don't blame you for not wanting to face reality, Miss McFarland, because the reality is this. You didn't listen to these children. You closed your ears to the truth that they were so desperately trying to tell you. And you ended up implanting instead in their fertile imaginations a memory of something that never happened.
Why would I do that?
Well, I don't know why, Miss McFarland. I do know that Mr. Sachs came along, didn't he? And then you suddenly became the Joan of Arc of the children's movement.
Your Honor.
You were the champion of children's rights, their savior.
Mr. Davis.
Maybe it all went to your head. Maybe the power trip was too much to resist.
Your Honor.
What power trip?
A halo around your head on Oprah every afternoon at 3. You were on a roll, weren't you? Did it
Your
feel
Honor,
fabulous?
objection.
Did it feel just
Mr. Davis.
great?
That's enough. Objection sustained.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no more questions.
Raymond Bucky has now spent 5 years in jail without bail, a new record in California history, which has generated criticism in legal circles. But today, in a major defense victory, Judge Pounders has granted him that bail and placed him in the custody of his attorney, Daniel Davis.
Come on, Mr. Bucky, you know you're a pedophile. You can't cut it with anyone but children because you can make them do anything you want. Please answer the question, Mr. Bucky.
Stop it, I can't take this anymore.
All right. Cool down. This is the kind of crap that they're going to keep shoveling at you all day long tomorrow. And you've got to look every one of those jurors in the eye, Ray. You keep looking away from them. I need you to connect with every single one of them.
I can't do that.
Why not? What are you afraid of?
I just spent the last 5 years in jail.
Here we go.
I don't know how to behave anymore. I mean, here's this woman who tells lies about me and puts my mother behind bars and then rips the skin off me every chance she gets. How do I know I'm not just going to jump out of the witness box and strangle her or burst into tears?
Because that's exactly what she wants you to do. Okay, you've told me what you're afraid of. You want to know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid that I'm just a back alley lawyer. I represent drug dealers and scumbags for a living. I'm afraid Lyle Rubin and Ira Reiner and the entire DA's department is just going to eat me alive. But I've got one thing they haven't got, Ray. I've got you. And the only thing you've got is me. So tomorrow I'm going to swallow my fear and I'm going to get up there and I'm going to fight them. And you're going to tell them something they haven't heard in that courtroom yet in this trial, Ray. You're going to tell them the truth. And the jury is either going to believe us or they aren't, son. If they believe us, Ray, you're going to be a free man. And if they don't...
Yeah.
You understand?
I understand.
Mr. Bucky, you've heard all these children accuse you of sodomizing them.
Of killing animals. Of threatening to kill their parents if they told anyone. Were all these children lying?
No, not all of them.
What do you mean, not all of them?
Well, I think some of the children were led to believe these things happened.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
Granted.
Do you recognize these pictures? What's the matter? You afraid of them? Look at them, pick them up. Will you tell the jury what's on the first one, please?
It's a picture of a man giving oral sex to a woman.
Why did you keep it?
Self-gratification.
You masturbated with them, did you not? Will you tell the jury how you did that, please?
What do you mean?
Isn't it true that you pasted this to the window of your apartment and masturbated on the bed in a position where people in the street could see you as they walked by?
No, that's not true.
That's not what two of your neighbors said.
You can't see into my bedroom from the street.
Do you think a person who does this should work at a preschool?
I don't think it has anything to do with the preschool.
Then why did you tear this up when the police came? Why did you flush it down the toilet?
I was afraid of what they might make out of it.
What might they make out of it?
what you're trying to make out of it now.
Isn't it true that you regularly sat facing the wading pool at the preschool in your shorts without any underwear, with your genitals exposed to the children?
No, that isn't true. I didn't wear underwear, but my shorts came halfway down my thighs.
You're a normal, heterosexual, typical young man. Is that true, Mr. Bucky?
I don't know if there is such a thing, Miss Rubin.
Isn't it true that the only gratification you have ever had or ever will have is with these children, Mr. Bucky? That you are incapable of having satisfactory sex with a grown woman?
I may have done some stupid things in my life. And I am far from perfect, but I have never had sex with a child. I've never hurt a child. And I have had satisfactory sex with a grown woman, Miss Rubin.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an interest in pyramids, Mr. Bucky?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
What are pyramids?
They're supposed to have a positive effect on living things. It helps you sleep if you put one over your bed. It's just a fad.
Did you fly to a convention where pyramids were sold?
Objection. Your Honor, I think we'd better approach if we may, please.
Very well.
Your Honor, I must object. Miss Rubin is trying to convert pyramids into pentagrams and turn my client into Dracula.
You categorize Peggy Bucky as a caring teacher. Would a caring person allow somebody who abuses drugs and flies off to pyramid conventions to work in their school? Objection overruled. Continue.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
Granted.
Is this a picture of you at a convention holding a pyramid?
Yes.
You see the woman on the right-hand side of the photograph?
Yes.
Who is Diana Sullivan?
I told you about her. We had an affair.
She told 2 investigators otherwise.
I don't see what it matters whether or not I slept with her.
Well, I think the DA is going to bring her here and get her to tell the jury that you don't have sex with women. And it's going to hurt us, Ray.
I don't think she'll do that.
Oh, really? Why is that? Because what, you become a secret stud all of a sudden? Ray?
I don't think she'll do that.
Miss Sullivan, did you ever tell someone in 1984 that you had never had sex with Raymond Bucky?
Yes,
Who was it?
my fiancé. And to the investigators that interviewed me 7 years ago.
And why did you tell them that?
Because I wanted to protect my reputation and my marriage.
And in the last few weeks, did some people associated with Miss Rubin's office come and visit you at your home in Montana?
Yes?
Would you tell us what they did, please?
They wanted to speak to me about my testimony. They questioned me in front of my children. My kids thought I was going to go to jail.
What did they want?
They wanted assurances that I would testify that I never had sex with Mr. Bucky.
And did you and Raymond Bucky, in fact, have sexual relations?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all.
Would you describe yourself as promiscuous?
No, I really don't think so.
Have you been enjoying the publicity you've been getting from this trial?
No. I know my children are going to read about it in the paper.
Did you have any difficulty having sex with Mr. Bucky?
How do you mean difficult?
Was it necessary to orally copulate Mr. Bucky in order to have sex with him?
No.
Didn't you tell that to investigators?
No, I did not.
Are you sure?
It's not the language I would have used.
What language would you have used, Ms. Sullivan?
I would have said, head.
This is Mr. Bucky's 7th day on the stand. Miss Rubin has gotten the allegedly most notorious child molester in history to reveal that he did not wear underwear, that he smoked marijuana, that he believed in pyramid power, and was a virgin until 24. But there seems to be little connection to the case that claimed 400 child molestations and launched nationwide hysteria.
Were these items found in your room, Mr. Bucky?
Yes.
You've been interested in pornography for a long time, haven't you? How old were you when you drew this picture?
I was about 11.
Don't you think this is rather sophisticated for a boy that age?
I used to pick up Playboy magazines and copy from those.
You drew pubic hair there, didn't you?
I drew nipples there, too, see?
Let's talk about pyramids again. Are these your books?
Yes.
Do you think it's normal for a man your age to believe in pyramids?
Well, I laugh about it now.
You laugh about it now, but you weren't laughing about it then.
No, I guess I wasn't.
You see an item on this table called a radon?
Yeah, but that's just what it's called. It has nothing to do with me.
That's not what I asked you. Isn't it true that a radome is supposed to have 40 times the effectiveness of a regular pyramid?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation as to the wattage of the radome.
Are these delightful items yours, Mr. Bucky?
No.
Whose are they?
They're my sister's.
Who bought them for her?
Her boyfriend's father, as a joke.
Is this your doll collection?
No.
Whose is it?
It's my mother's. She kept them for her nieces to play with.
Now, what is this?
It's a pyramid hat.
A pyramid hat. Like this?
It's backwards.
Mr. Bucky, is it possible that pyramid power drove you to molest children?
No.
Is it possible that pyramid power blanked out your mind so you forgot horrible events, like molesting children?
No.
Is it possible you never molested children at all?
Yes.
Look the jury in the eye and answer this question. Did you ever molest a child?
No. Not working out?
The jury came in.
Well, you just heard?
No, I heard last night. They're reading the verdict at the opening of session this morning. They're hung on 13 counts, right?